Welcome to Crafting with Carrie. Today I'm going to be making a tag out of this absolutely adorable picture from a 1950s reader. This image I think has been one of my favorites in a while. I just love how this little girl is getting all dressed up in her big coat and hat. It's just adorable. Sometimes it's hard to choose which side of the paper to use for your image, but I just try to remember that there's always going to be more out there. So I'm using a glue stick to keep the paper nice and flat so it doesn't bubble. The glue stick is good for not stretching the paper fibers. And we're just going to stick that onto a nice thick piece of cardstock. This came from a book that was for keeping track of history, and I decided to keep the solid white part as the back. I'm not quite sure yet what I want to do, if I want to stamp lines or if I'm going to leave it. So let's just have a look here and see. I am going to be looking to figure out how do I want to decorate the rest of the top of this paper. I'm liking the idea of the music, so I think I'll just take my ruler and do a ruler tear. I think discovering the ruler tear was one of the most mind-blowing things for me for doing simple, quick paper tears. Everything used to always have to be so perfectly cut that the idea of just tearing something with a ruler it kind of blew my mind for a little while. So, and it just saves so much time than pulling out a paper trimmer if that's not what you're needing, something so precise at the moment. So, trying to just match up what is the colors and what just kind of looks and feels right. This is always a fun part to kind of play and discover how things go together. So I really like the way that the pattern page will look on there, but pattern paper doesn't really tear where you want it to, and this little trick of putting some water on just to encourage it to tear where you want to is a really awesome little tip. So I'm sure you can see there my pointer finger on my left hand. I chopped a little bit of my fingernail off, so I apologize for you guys to see that. I was not thinking about putting a band-aid over it when I was doing my projects, but that is a hazard of chopping stuff up in the kitchen. Sometimes I get a little bit eager and zealous of getting things done quickly, and having some really nice sharp knives that can be a hazard sometimes. Think about it. I'll just save those extra pieces for later. Everything goes into the little Kleenex box until I get done the project. Each project seems to have another Kleenex box pile. They're a nice size for me to keep and hold all the extra little pieces while I'm working my way through. So now every tag looks nice with rounded corners, and we're going to need a hole at the top. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to work, so I'm just doing a sample here to see what this is going to work like what size of a punch I should use, and which is a good thing because I discovered that I liked the little hole punch better than the big circle, or it's a teeny tiny circle, but the hole punch does work nicely, and that I do like this fun little image on, or this little, it's like a teeny tiny little label, but I want it to be made out of this. I just quickly grabbed the file folder that is being used to hold all the papers together, and I decided to use that as the tag to give it a little bit more strength. And I'm going to be putting one on each side of the tag. So I'm going to create a template because I want to make sure that both of the tiny little covers have the hole in the same spot. These little glue bottles are just so fabulous, but I do find that they clog up quite a bit, but they are amazing for dispersing just that teeny tiny little bit of glue that we so often need. Okay, so next I want to put something along the divide here, the join. Need to look for something that will bring it together. So this piece of lace was just absolutely the perfect size, and I liked how it didn't take away from the rest of the picture. Still very elegant but neutral. And then I want to create a focal image on the edge, but I'm not quite sure. Do I want to have something lighter or darker? And I like the idea of having these little pieces of this doily clip off into some really fun little squares. I always find you kind of have to go back and forth and play with it and look at it. So after all that, I just decided to go with something nice and simple and light, and to not take away from the image. And I thought the little flower and some clear transparent ribbon with a little bit of green ribbon there just added a nice touch. I wanted to add a pull on the top of that tag, and I know that I have this green pile of yarn thread. It's got all these really fun different textures in there that I thought I would just string through to add some texture to this card. And then with this extra little string that came off, it just seemed like it wanted to live here. So there was still a little bit of glue left on the side of that little green ribbon. So I just decided to tuck it in, and it just worked so well. So we're just gonna clean this up, and then I'm feeling like the back is a little bit empty. So I think we're going to look for something to decorate the back with. I have this page from a book of famous poems. So there's a little portion of this poem that I really thought was nice, and I wanted to add that to the back of the tag. And of course we have to ink everything up, make it pop, and I definitely like the look of it down in the corner much better. But we need to find something to go with it, and I really like this beautiful lily. Do you like to fussy cut? I actually think that it is one of the things I enjoy doing sometimes. I actually took a book of animals and just fussy cut all of the pictures out because I wanted them to be prepared for in the future. And I haven't decided yet if I like to have them in the book so I can find them easier, or if I like to have them already fussy cut and ready to go. But it can be a soothing thing to do when you're just sitting on the couch sometimes watching a movie. And there we go. That just looks beautiful. I really like the way that turned out. Now to put it into its tuck. So the spot I thought I was gonna put it in, it's just not gonna fit there. It's a little too big. So we're gonna try and create a new spot for it to go. I have this page folded there already, so we'll create something different for in that envelope. I was wanting to finish this page, so I'm just going to grab some stamps to tuck inside each of these tiny little envelopes. This is my my side quest. I kind of tend to often go on side quests, and my original thought was that I was going to be filling this page, but I need to have something to tuck into these little envelopes now. So we'll start by adding some little stamps, and I think the art that is on stamps is just a really fun thing. So I really wanted to have something to go into this pocket, so I think I'm going to use this image and just cut it down. And I want it to be a focal point. So I think between both sides, it's so hard to choose. I'm going to just turn it into a card. I really want both sides of that art to be seen, and I want something to tuck inside, so we are going to create a card. There was a little bit of extra gifted hand drawing from a child from Once Upon a Time on there. We're just going to trim off the words and make sure that it is short enough to fit inside the pocket. So I decided to go with this cardstock and just have a little bit of a lip there to glue onto the edge of the image. I'm trying to get the glue really nice and close to the edge so that it'll be a nice clean corner. And this will fit nicely inside of this pocket. So now I'm back at the front, deciding what to do here. I need to cover up some little artist creative activities. I'm going to be using the pattern paper. The idea is to have the pocket match with the tag. I keep calling this patterned paper, but it's pattern paper from making patterns. A pattern for making clothing? There we go. Figure it out. I'll figure it out. So now that I have my pocket there from gluing the top and the bottom, I am just going to trim the excess paper there, and then I want to decorate this edge. I have this really fun blue ribbon that I'm just going to glue on the edge, and I think it just is really quick and easy way to add texture to the page. There we go. We have the large tag from the 1950s children's storybook with a tuck for it to go into. And then we have all these little envelopes that have all the stamps, these little pull out journal spots and that card, and a little peek to these extra little envelope little pockets that I had created on a different day. Thanks for joining me.